Hello, are we live now? Hello, here I am. I just had some microphone issues and took a little bit to arrive here, but here I am, Dylan, um, in central Germany. Nice to have you here. You can see the comments here. Hello, Nina from Athens. Hello, Elaine and Laurie. Nice to have you here. Just checking through comments. Nice to see you all. Cool. Has anybody got sticks and knives with them to do some pen carving? Hi Dana. Hello Jordan. Cool. Nice to have a bunch of people here. Yeah, you're very welcome, Laurie. Yeah, it's cool to do something live with you. It's a bit funny interacting with the chat, but after having almost, what is it now, 24 days of drawing together with 30 Faces, 30 Days and Sketchy, it's nice to be here talking to you. Hi, France, Laura, Megan. Hello, Kit. Nice to have you here. Nice to have some people from our Tuesday drawing group here too. An ecto knife. This is the knife that I'll be... Oh, I'm glad you love my beard, France. This is the knife I'll be using to cut my pens. I've got a few pens here. This is one of my favorites. And we're just some still people arriving. It's nice. Yeah, so I have some sticks with me that I'll be cutting into calligraphy pens. Yeah, it's been nice that so many people in 30 Faces, 30 Days are trying out the calligraphy pen style, which is yeah, something that I've grown to love over the years. And a lot of people have been saying, oh, what kind of pen you're using? And I have my Faber-Castell pen here with the broad nib, and the broader the better. So as you can see here, you can just make your own broad nib pens. Yeah, Opinel knives, that's right. Opinel's my favorite. So a nice French knife, Opinel. And if you're going to get one of these knives, don't get a stainless steel knife. This is the carbon rusting steel, which is really good to sharpen. Stainless steel is harder to sharpen. Yeah, sending kids to get sticks, excellent. Yeah, so cool to have kids involved in the process of making art supplies. Twispy Eco stud nib, yeah, cool. Yeah, if you're familiar with Greg Manchas, he's an amazing painter and illustrator. I remember he said something about practicing calligraphy is a really good way to practice your conscious brushstrokes. And as we practice calligraphy, and it's the same with when I paint, I love using flat brushes, which is just like a big fat calligraphy pen, and just the line variation you get as you these straight lines and then pull down nice big fat lines, and that's I don't make my own brushes, but these pens are something that I love, and I'm happy to be able to share that with you now. So I'll get to it. Show you my desk, my beard sticking out in the webcam. Yeah, so hello Heather in Colorado. Wie geht's? Ja, es geht ziemlich gut, danke sehr. Ich kann auch relativ gut Deutsch als Australier, aber ich könnte auch gerne Deutsch in einem Chat schreiben. I've went and got some sticks. Any stick will do. I heard in 30 Faces, 30 Days that someone made their own pen with a chopstick, which is great improvisation. I love improvisation. And I really like elder. If you've got access to elder or walnut, twigs. They have a really soft, almost hollow pith, which is here. You see, yeah, it's just really, really soft. You can kind of push this in, and that allows for a bit of an ink reservoir as you're using your dip pen. And yeah, you can cut it to get a really nice flat edge. So I will cut one of these into a pen, and I just love this stuff about the branches, finding cool little details like this. So maybe I'll turn this one into a pen this evening. You can also just like sharpen any stick, and turn it into a pen. Camera on the phone. Hey, that's better. Cool. Yeah, the organic artist, paper making, paint making, ink making. There's all sorts of amazing stuff in it. I highly recommend the book, The Organic Artist. And then get close up of the stick point. So I'm going to work from this completely flat. Thank you, Tiffany. So I just cut around this in between all of the madness with the camera, and snapped it off. And you can see here that it's really this is really soft in the middle, and that's elder. You can basically use any kind of wood, but these kind of hollow twigs are great for calligraphy pens. So let's get on to making the pen. And ask me questions about ink making later. Now I'll start focusing on making this pen, which I wanted to do 20 minutes ago. Okay, so to get that kind of flat edge, I start by cutting, just like carving into it, and you see to kind of it's not just a straight flat edge, but as you cut, there's a bit of a, you can push and curve the blade a bit to get a nice angle on there. Forsythia has a hole in the middle. Nice. I have some Forsythia ink right here, so maybe I should use that. Thank you, Jackie, for the tip. Yeah, and it's so cool. You could use so I'm just going to start cutting here. Use a Forsythia stick and make Forsythia ink. And I just love this kind of stuff of, the plant that came from when you collect the materials yourself, and the whole process of just making your own supplies before you've even started drawing or painting with it. I feel it totally adds a new dimension of story and enjoyment to the creation of art. Yeah, and that was something I guess I always liked doing stuff myself. And rather than buying these kind of paints where I have no idea how they even make these amazing crazy colors or what kind of heavy metals and minerals go into them, and to actually go out into nature, especially to be with my kids, it's such a good thing to do with my kids, or in workshops, to do with adults, to do with anyone. Such a nice thing to do. I've been concentrating more on talking than showing you guys this, but yeah, so I've got this kind of thing happening now. And so I'm curving that as I'm cutting here, and also flattening out the top side of the pen, and it's going to end up with a pretty nice flat edge. And it's good to cut away some of the bark, because then when you start dipping it into the ink, it's just going to like soak it into the pen. And it will be, yeah, it's going to be cleaner this way. Hands might stay cleaner. So you can, I like to take sticks that are already dead. there was just a question: do you collect fresh sticks or dried? Oh, there's some cool thing I can do. Practice this. Posting comments. Jen, hey Jen, do I collect fresh sticks or dried? I really like it when it's, to take from the abundance of nature. And if a stick has already died and it's drying there and it's it's like totally up for the taking. But that said, I have found some cherry branches where I just thought they had these amazing twisted twigs. And I was like, that's such a cool shape, and it'd be so nice to turn that into a pen. So most of the pens that I make are from dead wood. So yeah, it's already dry. It's cured and ready to work with. So yeah, here, cutting some bark off. I'm so glad that the webcam thing is working now. Not that every moment I look up and it's like, oh, it's gone again. It's so cool. Yeah, so thank you for persevering through that. What app am I using? This is called Epoch Cam. And there's a free version, there's a paid version, and then there's like a crazy version where you can I don't know, it costs 30 euros and you can be simultaneously streaming from 4 different directions. And some of them are quite long. But these really long ones I got here just for the purpose of making a pen to show you. But it's interesting, play with the length. Thank you for asking, Tiffany. I'll put your question up here. Yeah. Wait, I'm moving the whole screen. Yeah, here. It's cool when it has a nice balance, I can really notice the difference of a tool that you work with that you like to hold, which just has a nice feel to it. And these are pretty light, but by having some length to it, this just kind of has a bit of counterbalance. But someone on 30 Faces, 30 Days said they would, after watching my lesson with the Danny picture, which I've got up here, that someone used burnt matches to draw their picture. So, you can draw with a burnt match, improvise. How long do my pens last? This one, which is one of my favorites, I've had for a year. It had really sharp corners, which have become kind of rounded off and it's flattening out. But if it gets blunt or broken, you can just cut a new one. So they last a long time. And because I make lots of different inks, I don't want to put the black ink, dip this pen into a pale yellow ink. So you can just cut a new pen to use with the yellow ink, which is cool. This is nearly done. And then we'll be able to start drawing. Have a really nice reference photo that I've chosen of Juan. I don't know if he's here. Oh, I've just busted it, but that might work anyway. So this was a bit fat to stick in here. Maybe use something a bit thinner. But I'm just going to use it anyway and see what happens. So it's got a split here, but I make them with splits in them sometimes anyway. So that one just busted, and I'll go with it. I like improvising and seeing what happens. And sometimes you get these unpredicted, interesting things that happen. So just as I'm making a pen for you, I break it, but it might just be perfect. We'll see what happens. If it's not, I can just use the other pens that I made before. All right. Oh, cool. So, oh, that's an easy way to do it. Dana just said that the reference photo is in the link at the footnotes under the video, so I'm gonna pop it up here. There he is, and if you follow the link below the video, you'll be able to get the reference photo too. I just put it on the side here. I'll be working on watercolor paper. Almost all of the paper I use is made about 40 kilometers from where I live, Hanamula, which is a really awesome paper brand. Some sticks do just break. I was cutting one earlier today, and I think it was too dead. It had been off the tree for a long time, so it just broke. And that's the thing with living wood, fresh wood. It's still really, vital, and it won't break as easy. But just experiment, make lots of pens, and it'll all be good. So I have a few different inks here. This, maybe some of you saw the photo that I posted earlier today. I did it with Poppy Petal ink, which is this, and the Forsythian ink, which is this yellow plant, and this is like a pale yellow ink. And it was a really nice color combination, and so I was thinking maybe I'll work with that today. I have acorn ink here, which is it's almost black. It's amazing. The Danny piece was a lot of acorn ink in there. And the cool thing about making your own inks is just being curious and trying lots of different things. And if you get a stain on your clothes or the table while you're eating, it's like, oh, maybe I could make ink with that. All right. So this, I'll get this a bit flatter at the edge. So this is my new pen. It's quite flexible and thin at the end. And if you want to really get into it, you could use sandpaper to get it really flat and smooth. But yeah, let's see how this goes. And I'm going to start with this Poppy Petal ink. And this was something last year. So I had been painting and drawing with acorn ink and walnut ink for years. And then I was introduced to a book called Make Ink, which has so many amazing colors. And I was just like, oh, I don't just have to draw with brown anymore. There's like blue and red and yellow and all these great things. And then, yeah, last year there were just so many poppies here that I collected so many of them and made this ink. If you're not familiar with using dip pens, there'll be like a lot of fluid here, and if you just touch the pen to the inside of the jar or the ink pot, whatever it is that you have, it will help to get rid of the excess ink, because otherwise you put it down, it'll just go bloop and be a bit messy. All right, so let's see how we go with this. And for those of you who've been doing 30 Faces, 30 Days, you may be familiar with my approach of not doing preliminary drawings and just getting into the inking. So I'm starting with the eyes at the moment. There's this nice dark shape. I'm always looking at shape, and when I start a drawing, it varies like where I start. It's not always the same, but if something grabs my attention, then I just tend to start drawing there. And rather doing preliminary drawings, I just start drawing and constantly comparing the different shapes to kind of see where things line up with each other. And I was yeah, just looking a lot and comparing. And this is going to be pretty loose. If I'm doing like a portrait that has had a spot on likeness, then I will do a preliminary drawing. But I very much enjoy just going for it. It's the focus on the paper. Yeah. And that's something I love about the sketchy community, is just look at these nice broad calligraphy strokes, and then you can do these super fine things. That's what I love about these pens. So good. So much line variation from a stick. Yeah, so what I was saying I love about the sketchy community is just, no pressure, as opposed to having a commission where you have some kind of expectations, and just being able to totally loosen up, and have fun, experiment with things, and even if the likeness is a bit off, it kind of takes on a life of its own. So yeah, we'll just kind of go for it and see where it takes us. So here I've kind of got the length of the eyebrow, and I'm comparing, there's a bit of an offset from the eye to the eyebrow. I'm tempted to show you what I'm looking at here, but you've got the picture of it up there. Yeah, so okay, so I've got this here, and then I'm looking at the eyebrow here, and then okay, there's a bit of an offset, about almost halfway through the eyebrow, the eye is starting coming down here, and it's just constantly looking at these kind of things. What's this angle compared to this angle? It goes up a little bit here, and just to always be looking and comparing the whole time. Is kind of the way that I do it. And for a long time, I was very unhappy with the results that I got. I was like, that doesn't look like the person I'm trying to draw. But then I just, at some stage, just thought, that's okay. And sometimes it does look like the person that I'm trying to draw, and that's fun too. Yeah, I'm using watercolor paper. That's right. And something I really like. So this is really wet now. I leave a lot of pigment in these shapes, and as it dries, it has this beautiful thing like watercolor does as well, where it just, you have this collection of pigment at the edge of the shape, and then you have these really nice shapes in the drawings. And then the ink kind of takes on adds this unpredictable element to it. Okay, there's not really any highlight here, so just get rid of that. Yeah, nice to have you here, everybody. It's cool. It's interesting to do this live and not to be able to talk with you, but it's cool. I host drawing, portrait sketching sessions on Tuesday nights. We use Zoom, so we can all talk to each other and see each other, and that's super fun. Where it's not so much focused on one person's process, but we just look at each other and draw each other. But it's just really cool to be able to interact in that way. But if I take a moment to read your comments, it works totally fine too. So feel free to ask questions, and if you're drawing along, be interested in reading about your experience too. Yeah, and just again to illustrate that kind of, the variation of these calligraphy pens is so cool. Like these super fine lines. It's also good to draw big. Often when you make your own pens, especially the pointed ones, I think it can be hard to control how much flow of ink you have. So drawing big can allow you to get a lot finer detail and stuff. Thank you, Sketchy, for having me here. It's good, and yeah, I'm glad that it all worked out. Yeah, vertical hatching is a thing that I like doing, just to kind of, and I guess it's kind of born of necessity with ink, because if you've got this one level of saturation, so hatching becomes a fun thing to play around with to get some, midtones and stuff. So I'm just kind of like gravitating around now. Where do I want to move to? Start moving down the face, or I think over here the hairline is kind of a nice. Got this nice landmark, the way the eyebrows kind of, this wrinkle goes a bit further over here, shifting up over to the hairline. And yeah, and that's the way I just kind of find my way around portrait and kind of look at a shape, and without doing that preliminary drawing, you just kind of choose a shape and put it down. And then you've just got to roll with it. If you're like, yeah, that shape looks like that shape, cool. And if it doesn't, then that's okay too. You just got to figure out, can I push it around some way? Am I happy with it just being like a skewed perspective, or just that element of stylization that comes into not quite getting a likeness that can, and some people totally push it, So it's all totally valid if you're having fun learning, or just totally in the zone. It's all good. Watercolor paper is not very razor friendly. Yeah, so if I do a preliminary drawing, I just do it super light. And before I start hang on, what do I do? I kind of ink straight onto my lines as much as possible, and I generally use a kneaded eraser just to kind of lift it off. And if some of the preliminary drawing kind of shows through, I think that's cool. My preliminary drawings, I just don't draw so heavy-handed, and then you have some flexibility in it. I still use pretty dark pencils though, like soft pencils. I just use them lightly because I think, I don't know, everyone has their own experience with drawing and how they work with pencils. But I pretty much always use really dark pencils when I do, and just use them softly. Because I think with a hard pencil, you've got to like kind of push harder to make your mark, and then it's harder to erase as well, I think. So I'm just kind of bouncing over to the nose. It just kind of disappears into the background. So you can see from the edge of the eyebrow, if you drop down, it's about halfway through that line. Bring it another halfway over here, and that's kind of where the edge of the noses. I'm just imagining that line without drawing it. And that the top lip is kind of lining up with just inside the eyebrow here. I'm super curious to see how this is going to turn out. Drawing for you all today, and it's like, oh, how's this going to be? How many people are drawing along, or eating popcorn? What are you all up to? Thank you, Alternative Art Star. I like line variation. Oh, Jackie. Yeah. Yeah, I talked a bit about preliminary drawings. So you just draw really softly and lift it with your eraser. Another cool thing I like doing is just really softly to indicate these shadow forms, which are on the tip of the nose here. And I can come back in and maybe hatch that or fill it with ink later. And whenever you can kind of give some hinted, like implied distinction to those shadow forms, it's going to help give orientation to the other things you're doing in your drawing. So it helps you find your way around the face. Just kind of checking the angle of the lip there. For a moment, at the moment for me, I don't know if it looks a lot like Juan, but we'll see how it ends up. Vera is drawing along, that's nice. And Janet can't, that's okay too. For a long time for me, this kind of area, there's so many subtle things in a portrait which make or break the likeness, I guess, and the kind of the distance between the bottom of the nose and the lips. There's something that I often skewed. Rinsing the stick after is a good idea if you want to use it with any other inks. And also, like dry, some inks will crystallize. Some of them have sugar in them. So cleaning your gear afterwards is a good idea. I don't always, but it's a good idea. There are some inks, if you're using metal nibs, which I have as well, and sometimes if I want really fine lines consistently, I'll use like a nib, a metal nib. And some of the inks I make have iron in them, and it'll rust the pens if you don't rinse them. Cool that you're drawing with a stick pen. So good. Used to feel so at the mercy of prices in art supply stores. You just walk around like, oh man, I wish I had thousands of dollars to buy all these cool things and all these art supplies. that just cost time and are totally fun to make. So yeah, and the thing about hazardous waste being a byproduct of a lot of art supplies, we live somewhere which is pretty isolated. So we have like a reed bed filtration system for the houses here. There are 5 houses here, and all of our water flows through these reed bed systems. And so every time I wash my brushes, I'm like, am I poisoning our village by painting? And so I was creating my own materials and was able to just make stuff from nature that I know. It's all totally good. It comes from nature and can go back to nature. Hey Dana, thank you for being here. That was cool. I guess you're off to draw caricatures, have lots of fun, and say hi to Big Al and Ninja for me. So there's an interesting shadow shape here under the lips, which is really nice to give some more orientation here. Yeah, and I guess I'm working from shadow shape to shadow shape. I can see over here the ink's starting to dry, and these natural inks often have a really interesting effects, and as they dry, sometimes the tip of your stick just broke. Quickly cut it and make a new tip for your pen. I think there's a delay with some of these comments, so maybe by the time I'm responding to what you've said, it's been a while, but I'm reading. It's nice to have you chatting and conversing over there. Oh, the mold issues. Not on the paintings and stuff, but I've become intimately acquainted with mold making inks. So I guess it depends on the kind of climate you live in, but once the drawings and paintings have dried, mold has never been an issue for me. But when you make the inks, you can. So here I'm just kind of like outlining some of these shadow shapes again. You can see there's this change in contrast here. Yeah, so making natural inks, they're definitely prone to mold. Some a lot more than others. But because you're not going to eat it or drink it, usually you can scoop the mold off. I put either cloves in. All right. Yeah, enjoy your dinner. Thank you for being here. Yeah, I put cloves in. That prevents molding. You can also make alcohol-based inks, and they won't mold. Store them in the fridge. Some of the inks. The top shelf of our fridge is just full of jars of ink. But my studio space here, it gets really warm in summer, and I went to a festival last year and I took a lot of ink and did an ink making workshop, and came back and I just kind of put this box of ink in the room, and then a month later they were all covered in mold. So I had to figure out what I wanted to salvage, and a lot of them I just cooked. Like I got the mold off, I boiled them, and then they're fine. Oh, I'm starting to draw out of the frame here, so I'll push this up a bit. it's already nearly 10. I guess with those technical issues, I ate a bit of time in the beginning, but all right, I'll start drawing a bit faster. In my Tuesday night drawing sessions, which are all welcome to attend, it'd be cool to hang out and draw together. We do these timed drawings. So we start with 30-second drawings, and then 1 minute, 2 minutes, and it's often amazing when you're working with that time constraint how much you can get done in such a short time. And it's like, oh yeah, I've got an hour to do a drawing. It's like, oh, I haven't even done half the face yet. Laurie asked if the ink has to prime at all. There are different things you can do to it. Different modifiers, and you can like cook it with salt and vinegar, but you can also just like squeeze it straight onto the paper. And last year I had some elderberries and I just pushed it through a sieve and started painting with it. So it's all really totally open to experimentation, and that's just the awesome thing about making your own supplies. Just experiment and see what works best. Sometimes it's good, can be good to have a binder, so it's not so watery. Often gum arabic is used, acacia gum as a binder, but you can also use cherry sap. Like I have some here, and this stuff is like bleeds from the wounds of cherry trees. And so this one's like really red, and here's super clear. This is amazing. And sometimes it's really black. And if you just put that into the ink, it'll just dissolve into the ink. And when the ink dries, it becomes like this fixative and binder. But yeah, basically lower the temperature. Doesn't matter. You could draw with hot ink. But the binder thing is interesting because if you're using some pigments, like a lot of pigments are water-based, or it's like the pigment is suspended in the water, but a lot have these particles, especially mineral-based stuff or ochre, and you can use stones to make paint from, or charcoal, and then you need something that's gonna to hold it together. Otherwise, it would just brush off of the page when you finish with it. So if you have cherry trees around, you can keep a lookout for cherry sap. Don't take too much because the trees need it to protect themselves. But sometimes if it's really moist in summer and there's a lot of cherry sap, you can just pluck these big things off of the trees and use it in your ink and paint making. So I had this big blob of ink fall on the ear. That's all right. Some inks are more forgiving than others. So maybe I'll just grab a brush now and put some color down. I think it'll be interesting. Since an hour's already up, don't want to go too long. And yeah, having kind of preset these areas where I know, okay, this is kind of a shadow form, I'll be able to just, and working watercolor paper, put some ink in and see what we have. I wanted to use this Forsythia ink in the background, which I think is going to give the definition to the light side of the face and stuff. So I'll just start putting some of that in. So this is super pale. I could have reduced it a lot more, I guess. And that's the thing when you make these inks, that the less water in there, so you can just kind of cook it out. Cook out the water, and you have a more intense color. I've been cooking up an idea for an online art course, because I've been teaching locally. I taught a course called Drawing from Nature, or Naturmalerei, where we would use be inspired by nature and use natural art supplies to create our paintings. And yeah, something coming up soon. I'm talking with Jordan the Sketchy about doing an ink course, which you'll be hearing more about soon, which I think is going to be totally cool. We'll just kind of, be encouraging people to get out and make their own art supplies, and just practice portraits and mark making with ink, and just to make these conscious choices, put it down, and just kind of playing around with the wealth of possibilities that we get from natural art supplies as well. So if that sounds interesting to you, then that'd be awesome to have you join us. That'd be cool. And as I mentioned, Tuesday nights, night for me, we meet up and do live drawing, and it's heaps of fun, especially now, a lot of us have a pretty restricted social life in the corona times. But even if it wasn't corona time, it would still be super fun hanging out and drawing together. Larry, you like it as it is. That's nice. Just like putting in some clear shadow shapes here, just give some more definition and contrast to the light area of the face. And it's been fun doing this with you. I'll be doing a lot more live streaming. It was something with some friends that they're like, hey, how about you do live streaming stuff? And it's cool. This corona phase has just made all these things kind of materialize, which have just been ideas for a long time about, online courses. And I think it's really nice being part of an international community of people creating together and being inspired. And and for those of you interested, I have a Patreon page, which I have been revamping. It went to sleep for a while. I had a big project where I was doing a lot of yoga portraits, and I was kind of running that through Patreon. And I've just been reinvigorating my Patreon page, and there's going to be stuff in there for people who would like to buy some ink or to have their portraits sketched and painted. Be able to check that out. Yeah, and a really nice part of working with ink is to play with this kind of wet quality that it has, and when you have time to let it dry and then add new layers, you can come up with some really cool textures and really interesting things that happen. I feel like I totally skewed out the back side of his head here. It's an interesting challenge, talking the whole time and drawing and painting too. But yeah, it's been great having you all here. Um, if you've been doing a drawing of this and you use Instagram, then tag me in your posts and I'll share your work. I'm at Dylan underscore Sara, SARADYLAN, yeah, it's been really cool. 30 Faces, 30 Days. Sign up for that too. It's such a cool opportunity to learn so much from not only the teachers but the whole community. It's so cool seeing people from all over the world taking the same reference and the same inspiration and all interpreting it, putting it through their own artistic filter, and coming up with all these cool versions of you know of the same face. And it's been so rewarding as a teacher, or interesting and fun to see. I just say some things and I'm talking about my process and I see all these people trying it out, and it's amazing seeing what people are doing, just going for it. It's so cool. So yeah, April's nearly finished, but 30 Faces, 30 Days will be up there for a lifetime. And there's just so many cool videos to watch, so many great teachers, and a cool community to be part of. Like, community is just so important. So thank you for being here, being part of the community, and send me messages, and I'll be happy to hear from you and happy to see your work. And I'll probably keep working for a bit on this, and as it's nearing completion, I guess I'll post. Maybe I'll post something like this so you can see where I'm at, and then oh, there's some cool bleed happening here, and then I'll post the finished drawing, finished piece when I'm done with it. So yeah, thank you, Dirk, Laurie, Carlo. Oh, you missed it. I think there'll be a recording of this live stream available as a video. And there'll be much more live streaming coming up in the future. So yeah, follow me, get in touch. Thanks for being here. And I'll keep painting a bit. But yeah, I hope to hear from you and see what you've been creating, and hope that you've enjoyed this live streaming session. I'm glad you've had fun, Janice. Thank you. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, Hygienic Option. That's a nice internet handle at the moment. Thank you, Elaine, Donna. Yeah, it's just cool to be here with you. Thank you, Brenda. And just, connecting online. It's so cool. Thank you, France, Christine. Polly Two Beers. That's a nice name. Yeah, cool. Share with me on Instagram, Kit, Jennifer. Share. Sharing is caring. And nice to be able to share with you. So thanks a lot. Use Sketchy, sign up for 30 Faces, 30 Days. Send me messages. Follow me on Instagram. Check out my Patreon. Create. Have fun. Be kind. And yeah, nice to have you here. I guess I'll end it. I could just keep painting and chatting with you, but what time tomorrow? I don't know if that's a reference to our drawing sessions, but that's on Tuesday. Choose, Jennifer. Tuesday, 7:30 German time. We meet on Zoom, on Instagram. I post links to it and stuff, and it's so cool to hang out and draw together. And it's great having some of our drawing group here tonight. And yeah, so come draw together and hang out and be fun. Bis bald. Mach's gut. And see you soon.